We mentioned that in Heat 1A, the Tosti Asti unable to start. Let's go to pits with Jim.
Well, Don, we've got with us right now the driver of Tosti Asti, Steve Reynolds. Steve, just before the start, you returned to the pits. What's wrong?
Well, we're taking on a little water. When we left the pits with the boat, we low water over the deck, which got into the bilge. And the whole time I was running, I was taking salt water into the motor. That's one of the big hazards with the turbine engine. You can't take any salt water inside the engine.
Now, is the engine out? Is it done?
No. We'll clean it out, and it'll be ready to go again. But it wasn't producing any power, and when I can't get any wind through it, the temperature comes up, so I just brought it back in.
So while Mr. Reynolds and company try to take care of their woes, it's time to go racing. Here's the lineup and the drivers for Heat 1B. First of all the way from Seattle, Scott Pierce, the Team Velocity. That's only a two-man team, by the way. George Johnson, Miss Exegutone, driving a brand new Lucero design boat. Also, Ron Snyder on the American Speedy Printing, been driving this boat for a couple of years now. It's a good one. And, of course, the man to beat with the boat to beat, the Budweiser and Jim Kropfeld. For qualifying times, and the boats in Heat 1B, the Budweiser at 117, American Speedy Printing, as you see, Exegutone at 109, and Velocity at 102. Interesting stat, the Budweiser has won straight here in Miami. Jim Kropfeld doing it last year, and the late Dean Chenoweth winning 3 straight before that. And here we go now with Heat 1B. On the outside, you see there nearest the camera is George Johnson and the Exegutone. It's a good start, and look at the great start by Ron Snyder and the American Speedy Printing in lane number 3 as he heads down for the east turn. The Budweiser in lane 1 as they go down to that turn. You see the Budweiser hugging the entrance buoy into the turn, and Snyder whipping it wide around the side as he goes down towards the back chute. George Johnson, the Exegutone, in that brand new Lucero design boat. Snyder with first place coming out of the turn now. Let's see where the Budweiser is. Here he comes outside. That's Jim Kropfeld. Ron Snyder there in the American Speedy Printing. And Scott Pierce he's got a stack wire there in the Team Velocity. In the meantime, there's your leader going down the back chute heading for the second turn. Ron Snyder out of Ohio has driven that boat for a couple of years now. Last really conventional competitive boat in the unlimited hydroplane circuit. In second place is the Budweiser, staying right on the inside, and he's got great position on Snyder. He won't let him get inside. The Budweiser, the American Speedy Printing, Jim Kropfeld coming down, completing lap number 1. The Budweiser. Ron Snyder again remaining on the way outside. Looks like he's coughing a little smoke on that turbocharged Allison engine. Who can forget when that was the pay-in pack and the Atlas van lines? What an incredibly cool it is. One on the inside of isn't too bad either. The Budweiser, 4-time winner, 4 straight victories here in Miami, as we mentioned earlier. There, Team Velocity fired up again. Scott Pierce is now rolling, and he is now active. Back to the leader as the Budweiser has taken the lead down the back chute here on lap 2. More problems for Scott Pierce. Remember, he only has a 2-man crew. It's something just that he got here from Seattle and qualified and was able to compete. The Budweiser now in first place as he is coming up down the main chute. And in second place is Ron Snyder and the American Speedy Printing. Jim Kropfeld out of Cincinnati, Ohio, completing a couple of laps now here in Miami. And the Budweiser Unlimited Hydroplane Regatta. The Budweiser. We thought maybe this boat wouldn't be running here in 1984 with a new boat being designed and built by Ron Jones in Seattle, in Kent, Washington, to be particular. But it wasn't ready. This boat certainly is competitive, and still the boat to beat on the circuit is doing just fine right now in Miami, thank you. Second place, Ron Snyder still in lane 2. You see Velocity, the yellow boat, swing way wide. Kropfeld now coming down the back chute. He's keeping his speeds right around 100 miles per hour, so he's saving his engines as long as he can. He knows that if he gets into the finals, more than likely he'll have a challenge by the name of the Union Bay Squire Shop and Mickey Raymond, possibly the Tosti Asti, if they can get some points in Heat Bay. There's 3 boats going down the back stretch. George Johnson keeping. Evidently, George Johnson, by the way, has dropped out the Exegutone because that's Team Velocity running in third. This is the Budweiser, of course, coming around the west turn and heading down the main chute past the grandstands that holds roughly 15 to 20,000 people. Good crowd here in Miami. Jim Kropfeld, the 1982 Rookie of the Year. Coming up in second place, there's George Johnson, still trying to keep that new Exegutone going. They have Merlin engines in there, so saltwater may or may not be a problem. Budweiser running fine, as we said, keeping his speeds down just a little bit to save those engines, the Griffin engines that they run. Here is George Johnson again, and back to Ron Snyder in second place here in Heat 1B in Miami, Florida. The Budweiser, owned, of course, by Bernie Little, the all-time winningest owner in unlimited hydroplane history. Bernie Little, of course, a member of the Florida Sports Hall of Fame. Ron Snyder, the pride of Ohio, and of course George Johnson out of Seattle and the EXEGUTONE. They have a bright future in this business. Looks like Team Velocity, Scott Pierce, he's calling it a heat anyway, going back to the pits, back to the Budweiser again. That boat designed by Ron Jones, the son of Ted Jones, of course the granddaddy of unlimited hydroplane racing. He designed the three-point hydroplane system. Good shot at Jim Kropfeld as he comes by. Takes a look at the crowd. He's in good control now. In first place of this Heat 1B in Miami, hoping to pick up 400 points, which would put him in a tie with the Squire Shop, the Union-based Squire Shop out of Seattle. George Johnson, the drama continues with him and his Merlins, the battle with the engine trying to keep it running. Very similar to the Atlas Van Line's boat of years past, which is now the Squire as far as the actual profile of the boat, and he's got big problems, it looks like. And there is your leader. What an ominous sight. The thundering engines of that Griffin inside the cowling of the Budweiser. Jim Kropfeld doing a great job. He is, of course, a member of the APBA Hall of Fame, a national champion in the limited classes many, many times over. Ron Snyder, 47 years old, moving along. Check that, 45 years old. Sorry, Ron, don't want to take two away from you. Thanks for the wave, Ron. Ron Snyder, second place behind the Budweiser here in Heat 1B. The Budweiser wrapping around now on the final laps. Again, Ron Snyder back to the Budweiser. Of course, he started back in 1982, if you recall, driving for the Budweiser. As you see, George Johnson, he's not giving up. I got to admire that. Still trying to keep his engine going. He hopes to get some points. If he can get it completed, he would pick up 225 points, possibly even get him into the finals. We'll have to wait and see. The Budweiser, smooth sailing, gliding the rather choppy waters here in Miami quite well, and it looks like the Budweiser is in control. Jim Kropfeld and the Bud. And here he comes now for the checkered flag, the winner of Heat 1B, the Budweiser. So here are the numbers. The Budweiser, Jim Kropfeld with 400 points, American Speedy Printing with 300, and no finishes for EXEGUTONE or Team Velocity. Let's go to the pits with Jim Hendrick.
Hey, Don, I'll tell you right now, this guy showed away at Furpin. You took the lead twice and couldn't hold it.
Well, we lost a couple plug wires there after the first lap, and things were going a little sour, and I knew we only had to finish to get enough points to try to get in the finals. So Jim and I were going to put on a race, but after things went a little sour, I wasn't going to push it. Let's save it for the next heat.
Strategy continues down here in the pits, Don.
Here you see the Tosti Osti, Chet's Music, and the 2A for you in just a minute.